It was probably Steady as She Goes, which I don't know if you would categorize that as maybe their most streamed song if you were to look at it in such terms. Um, really, I guess let me think. I moved to Chicago and towards beginning of 2009, and I think it's just kind of mandatory to know Big Black and to know Steve's work and obviously the amazing legacy of electrical audio there in Chicago and Belmont. And Andy, our former bass player, had been more tuned into Big Black than I had been through my teen years and whatnot. Um, and as I heard songs about fucking and got more into Big Black and Steve's work, from there transitioned to hearing Shellac. And I don't remember really what one of those the first song was, but I would if I were to guess, I'd say Steady as She Goes. No, unfortunately, I have never seen them. They don't tour all that much. It seems like they tour more overseas from what I've picked on. Um, but no, I've never had the chance to see him live. I YouTube what I can. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he's still there, but Bob works for a record mastering service that's sort of pretty close to where I have a coffee business, where I work with a company called Metric, who has a cafe. And one time I was at Metric and I saw Bob sitting there having a coffee, and I really geeked out. But no, I've never met Bob or Steve. I recorded a record at Electrical Audio. Um, although not with Steve in the B room there. I believe he was hurt at the time and wasn't around at all, but it's probably for the better, as he's not going to want anyone gushing, and I'd probably be a little too giddy. Certainly nothing in the Devil Wears Prada. Many worlds apart, I would mostly consider, but again, I had a rather inactive side project band called God Alone with Kyle from Prada, and we recorded our LP at Electrical Audio. And really anything that I brought to the table in that band as far as guitar playing and even the vocals and the lyrics as well are definitely um, heavily inspired by Shellac. I think I don't know. I think overall Steve's legacy is always so much about his incredible recordings and whatnot, but is someone that's a rather clumsy guitar player and myself. I really like his playing, and I think it's been really fantastic. I think the tonal voicing is really cool and unique and individualistic. So um, I don't know. I kind of almost think of Steve as more of a guitar player than a record maker, although I think that's probably contradicts most people's perception about Albini's legacy. I think why Shellac is an important band to me is the minimalism. A lot of what I've learned in my own personal taste in music is I often like a lapse, or I like the moments where nothing is happening as much as the moments where maybe something more is happening. I think I hate when Shellac is called like a math rock band. I don't think they're mathy at all, just rather technical to some degree. Um, and I don't know. When I hear it, just something clicks in me, and like I think in terms of like '90s bands and bands still going and whatnot, and bands like the Melvins and those that are definitely have a big influence on me. I think that nothing just really clicks for me than the way Shellac does for me. And I think another huge part of it is just simply the ugliness of it. Like again, as like a fan of Steve, and I watch every interview I can find on YouTube and whatnot, his seminars on recording and whatnot. He often boasts of his not to put words in his mouth, of course, but he often boasts of his love for ugly music. And I really like that. I think that sometimes it's hard, or for me, I struggle to find bands that sound cold, and I like that quality, and I like the ugliness. Um, as much as I love the beauty in certain bands and certain, chord progressions and movements and whatnot, I think that in terms of my own perception of my own existence and my own taste in music and whatnot, I think a lot of life is grit and in a way that I think Shellac portrays very well. And I love the diction as well. I love songs written about, topics that are certainly not your pop culture bullshit love song, you know, mutterings. I mean, I think the band started in the late or the early 90s. And, I'm not going to lie or pretend that I've been listening to them, since I was 4 years old. But I was I think I tuned in pretty shortly before Dude Incredible came out, which I think was 2014. I probably started listening around uh, maybe 2012. So it hasn't been all that long, realistically, but it would be hard for me to either say Excellent Italian Greyhound or Dude Incredible. I know it's a little bit of a cop out to just name the newer records, but again, as someone that hasn't been a fan, my whole life, in terms of my own personal evolution and in musical taste and whatnot, I would definitely say Terraform number three, and then it'd be hard to compare between the two newest records as to which I would prefer as a so-called favorite.